Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and because this is an exceptional episode, think about it. How many times do we do an episode on February 29th? Not very often. So we decided to get Albert Flynn from Greyhound Rodeo and Mike Molina, the acting athletic director. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Great showing by Greyhound Rodeo. More will be said about that from Coach Flynn here in a minute or so. Great showing by Greyhound Track and Field at the Lone Star Conference Championships. We had two individual Lone Star Conference champions, Tim Frederick and Grizel Scarlett. Both of those probably have a good chance to run in the NCAA Indoor Championships. Great weekend for Greyhound baseball. They went to Austin, Texas, came back with 2 wins out of 4 games against St. Edwards. And Greyhound softball, for the first time ever, swept St. Edwards this past weekend. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear the sets and we'll bring in our first guest, Albert Flynn, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of Sportslook my favorite guest, Albert Flynn, the head coach at Greyhound Rodeo. And Coach, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thank you, sir.
I call you my favorite guest because I'd like to think in the 29 years I've been on the high plains, I've learned a little bit about rodeo, but you always tell me something I do not know. And we'll start out by giving you congratulations. You had your first rodeo of the spring semester last weekend, and good showing by all.
Yeah, we had a good week. We really did. Had some team ropers make it back to the short round. Had a couple of goat tires and bulldogger, and did, under the circumstances, the number of breakaway ropers we had 3 girls there, was within 3/10 of making it back to the short round. And instead of being 2-4, they were 2-6, 2-6, 2-7, 2-8, and you just can't get that much closer. But still had to be 2-4, and but I was pleased with what we was able to get done.
So the first rodeo of the spring is in Odessa, and what's unique about the Odessa rodeo?
It's in a Coliseum. Weather's decent this year. The uniqueness of it is the year that it freezes and get that drizzling rain, and the roads freeze and nobody can get there safely. And that's the year we dread. It's going to happen one year, we just don't know when. But there are pro rodeos in January, and the dirt's in there, and they can have their college rodeo, and then they have to clear it out and get ready for a bull ride. And then when the bull ride's over, then they got to clear it back out and get ready for the ice hockey ring.
I did not know that, so that's really a multi-purpose facility.
Yeah, right.
So let's talk a little bit about the off season. If memory serves me, the Texas Tech rodeo was the last rodeo of the fall.
Correct.
And Chasey Moore, of course, had a really good performance. She was the all-around champ at that. So what do your kids do during, technically, the off season between the Tech rodeo and the Odessa rodeo?
Well, the first thing they get done is they finish their semester of schooling, make their grades, and get ready. A lot of them go out to Vegas to the NFR for vacation. When they come back to school, then they get ready to start practicing again. We had a timed event the 17th of February for them to kind of get ready for the rodeo, and it's not a lot of time to get ready with everything else. It's holidays going on, and Christmas, New Year's, and that stuff. So most of them, unless they go to a roping somewhere, most of them kind of let their horses have a break, and they have a break, and then they come back and get started again.
See, that was what I was wondering is I know in a lot of sports, you take that time off because you need that time off to let your body heal, let your mind heal. But like in baseball, some people go play winter baseball and they just play baseball all year round. So I was wondering how it is in rodeo.
It's similar. You know, there's some different ropings for those that want to rope, team ropers to go to. And out there in Vegas, they have some team ropings out there and breakaway roping. So some of them might have went out there, but a lot of them went out there just for the rodeo and the vacation.
In basketball, the men's basketball team lost a player at semester. Women's basketball gained a player at semester. Were there any changes, or were pretty much the rodeo competitors from the fall the ones that were coming back from the spring?
No, we lost a couple of boys, but we didn't gain any girls. We had a girl. I guess we lost a girl also. She didn't quite. She dropped a class and didn't replace it, so she didn't have enough hours to rodeo in the spring, but had the grades, just didn't have enough hours.
And we will point out that we have student athletes at Eastern New Mexico University, and we pride ourselves that if they're going to wear ENMU somewhere on their uniform or their shirt, or wear the vest with ENMU on it, we want them to also be good students.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I was pretty proud of our girls. They had a 3.68 GPA, and if the boys don't lose two, they'd have a 3.0, but you lose a couple of zeros, they don't add very well. So
no.
You get a 2.5, and that's understandable.
So let's go back and let's talk about the timed event that you had prior to the Odessa Rodeo. Did you get a good sense that you were primed to have a good day at Odessa, or did the Odessa Rodeo just kind of take everybody by surprise?
No, it was a good watching, and I put a couple of girls on the women's team that we haven't had on there based on what they done at our timed event, and both of them, one of them made it back to the short round in the goat tie and just didn't get anything done in the average, and the other girl was 2.6 in the breakaway rope and needed to be 2.4. So we picked the right ones to be on the team. They just didn't quite get there, but we'll probably leave them team for when we go to Ranger in the March.
So let's talk about the Odessa Rodeo, and we'll break it into its two components. Let's talk about the guys. And guys had one of their best showings that we've had for a couple of years.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had a boy, Coy McBride, was roping with a boy from another school, and they were 2.7 and ended up being like 7th, and to come back to the short round. And Bodine and Ty McKenzie, they were 6-1 and made it back to the short round. And Blaze Steffen was roping with a boy from Ranger, I think, and I think they were 5-7, and then they came back in the short round and placed, and maybe was like 4th in the short round, 4th in the average, and overall with the Rowdy Norwood, he made the short round in the steer wrestling again. He was 4th in the long round, and then didn't catch one in the short round, but ended up with 30 points. So the boys ended up with 140 points. I had never had that many points, all fall. And then with Stacey and Jordan, well, they had 80 points, and it was important for Stacey to get some additional points in the goat tie, and so she just keeps getting some points. Well, they'll add up come the end of the year, and that's all we can hope for. But the boys really had a good rodeo.
And what place did they finish in?
I think the girls was 8th and the boys were 8th out of 14 or 15 teams.
There you go.
Kind of in the middle, but Clarendon had a girl, not Clarendon, but Frank Phillips had a girl that won the breakaway roping and the goat tie, and both went all around it, accumulated 245 points. and the team trophy. So,
Yeah,
but
that'd be tough to beat.
yeah, but other than that, we with them 80 points there was a team with 125, 110, and we just kind of right there with them. But we're gearing up. We're trying to get some kids in here that win the region next fall, and I'm waiting for 2 girls to make up their mind. And if I get them, I think I have a shot.
So let's go back and let's talk a little bit more about the girls, and let's talk particularly about Shacy. Part of rodeo is you got to have a good horse. Part of it is you've got to have good technique, but you've got to have the right temperament. And what is it, a combination of all three, or is there one thing that really makes Shacy so good?
She has a really nice goat horse, one that will really run down and get off and get her to that goat and have her time to get to him and flank him in time. And she was 7 flat and 7.5, and I think 6.4 maybe won the round, but and she had to kind of run around the circle to catch the goat and get him tied. Otherwise, she'd have been quicker. And Jordan had the same goat in the long round with 6.9, but she didn't have to track him down quite as bad. But Stacey's got a really nice breakaway horse, and she just has to draw the right calf and get across the line and start, and he'll do that. And she was a 14.57 and a 14.41, made it back, or 42, made it back in the barrel race. So she is right there in all 3 events of making it back. She has nice horses and rides very well. So it's a combination of the willingness to work at it and want to win, and she's a competitive individual, and played sports in high school, and basketball and softball, and probably ran track, and was it Casper, and one year at the finals, and they always have a softball tournament, and there she was playing and running from second to third, and she dives in head first to third, just show how competitive she was. She just wanted to get there. So, that competitiveness, along with her academics, it all plays out in the end. I'm always a believer that good students know how to win, and they do what it takes.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the great showing, and we'll remind people that the next rodeo is going to be the Ranger.
Yes, it'll be the 22nd of March.
Well, like I said, congratulations on the success, and let's hope that we have a good showing and good representation in June.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment, so we'll clear the set and we'll bring in the guy at the top of the athletic department himself, Mike Molina, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring to the set of Sportslook the acting athletic director at Eastern New Mexico University, Mike Molina. And Mike, we've had you on before, but welcome in your official capacity as the acting AD.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's definitely, I've always wanted to be on. I was on your radio show. I've never been on this show, but I've always wanted to be. So it's a privilege for me.
So, Mike, for people who didn't listen to that radio show and don't know your backstory, tell us a little bit about where you were originally from and the process that got you here to Eastern.
I grew up in Kansas City, went to the University of Kansas, started off, moved out to California because I always wanted to live in California. Lived there, went back to school, got my undergrad in recreation, worked in recreation for years, decided I didn't want to do that anymore, went back and got my master's, and decided I wanted to get into college athletics. Worked at Cal State San Bernardino for about 6 years. This job opened up about 5 years ago, applied for it, and was fortunate enough to get it. So I've been here almost June 30th will be the end of 5 years.
And I was smiling as you were saying that because, as I had found out during the radio program, that you and I were actually neighbors because San Bernardino, California, and Redlands, California are contiguous. And I lived in Redlands for a number of years. So let's go back and let's talk a little bit about your association with sports. What sports did you grow up playing?
When I was younger, I played football. Football was my favorite sport. Wanted to be a professional football player. Didn't have the height, so that kind of went out. I wrestled in high school. I was pretty good, but at the time when I was growing up, really didn't. Division II had just kind of started. It wasn't a big thing. If you went Division II, no, not many people did. Everybody wanted to go Division I. There's a lot fewer Division I wrestling programs, so I decided just to, go to school, college, and I was wanting to be in campus recreation. That's what I did when I was in college. I worked as an intramural official for years, got a job with the intramural program, and that's where I wanted to go. That's what I wanted to do. Didn't end up that way, but I got into college, a college job with athletics. So I enjoy this a lot. It's a lot of fun.
So, Mike, if you had to sum it up, what has athletics meant to you?
I mean, from a young, probably third grade, I was playing some kind of sports. Always involved in sports one way or another, either officiating, coaching, playing. Playing when I was younger, officiating and coaching when I got a little bit older. It teaches you, to me, athletics, sports, teaches you how to win and lose. You're not always going to be a winner, so you have to learn to lose. You're not always going to get along with your coworkers, so you have to. It teaches you to get along with your teammates and your coaches, and to me, it's a microcosm of life. How you deal with adversity. Do you just roll over and give up, or do you struggle and fight back and figure out how to accomplish your goals? You're not always going to get them, but at least you try.
And I'll actually use a figure from the world of wrestling. There was a guy by the name of Dan Gable who went through high school undefeated, went through college undefeated until his very last match his senior year when he lost. But he said that was what then fueled him to train for the Olympics and be an Olympic champ.
Yeah. One of my idols, I have a dog named Gable. He's one of the people that I looked up to when I was wrestling, and still to this day. He's just a phenomenal human being. He had a very hard life growing up, if you know anything about him, but just to persevere and to have the willpower to accomplish anything like that. Any of these athletes that make it to the Olympics, that's their quote unquote Super Bowl. That's the furthest they're ever going to go. There's no professional. Well, there is professional wrestling, but that's totally different. So.
But yeah, it gives me great pride to talk about Dan Gable because he wrestled in my high school conference.
Oh, really?
So I actually watched him wrestle when he was in high school. So let's get back. We'll get on the time machine and get back up to the hero. Now, what was it about the job at Eastern that intrigued you enough to apply for the position?
Where I was at before, they did not have football. And honestly, I wanted to work at a place that had football, that I could later down the road maybe utilize that to get a bigger, maybe a D1 job or something like that. In being here, the community is amazing. The university is amazing. The faculty and staff care so much about the students. Coming out to the games, and maybe not every game, but coming out and representing it, it's a very, I really enjoy this place. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, the people are amazing. So that's that's the reason why I came, but the reason I'm staying is because of the people, the community.
We talked about the fact that when I interviewed you for the first time on radio, you had one role at the university, and now you're the acting athletic director. So, what was it about the position as athletic director that made you feel that you were confident to step in and assume those duties?
Confident? I don't know about confident. No, I mean, I I have done pretty much everything within athletics except for compliance. Um, Here at this university, I started off in facilities, game day operations, and that's taking care of the facilities, running the game, everything except for the actual play. I was in charge of going into the business side, budgeting. Uh, Nobody likes the person that does the budget because you never get enough money, and doing stuff like that. And then um, I was fortunate enough that President Johnson interviewed me and along with a few other people and decided that uh, I was the best fit for the position. So I was very flattered that he thought so highly of me, and um, I'm willing to take on that responsibility and do the best that I can.
What's been the most interesting thing that you've learned about the position of athletic director since you became one?
It's a lot of um, putting out little fires here and there, a lot of dealing um, with smaller issues, but can turn into bigger issues if we don't take care of them. Um, a lot less. I mean, I've always been busy doing the other jobs that I have here, but this job is a totally new level of busy. Um, I can come in with, and I think it's pretty much anybody, anywhere. You come in with a plan, and by 8:05, that plan's already out the window, and you're on to other things. So it's, I enjoy doing it. I guess I never really stopped to think of what an athletic director at a Division II level institution what their job duties were. I guess I always thought that they were out fundraising and raising money and this and that, and maybe at a Division I level, but at a Division II, it's totally different. You're dealing with um, more hands-on than what I ever thought.
Looking ahead, we had hoped that we'd have a video board at Greyhound Arena for the basketball season. It's obviously not going to happen. But what is the schedule for the video board?
So the video board, we made arrangements with them. I mean, the contract has been done since August, September. The issue was that we, the company putting it in needed 4 weeks to get it set up, make sure it runs properly and all that, all the infrastructure, the wiring and all that. We didn't have 4 weeks from once volleyball started through now the end of basketball. So if I'm correct, it's going to be starting to put up probably in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll be done prior to commencement. So if should they choose to use it for commencement, it's there, and they can put the student walking across the stage up there on the big screen on the so.
I don't know. They may trip looking up at themselves, but that'd be cool. Mike, obviously a change that's taken place in athletics is that we've tried to be environmentally friendly and go away from paper tickets and go to electronic. And we'll point out to people, yeah, change is difficult, but this is a good change.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult. It's one of the things that I was very apprehensive because I know our demographic. It is a good thing. I mean, to be able to do it right there off your phone, you don't have to print out tickets. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And I would say, 95% of people have some kind of smartphone. If it was my parents doing it, they would never be able to figure it out. But, some people are technology challenged, and we have staff there that can walk them through it. And even if they don't have a smartphone, we have a computer right there. We just put all their information and they can pay that way. So it has helped a lot. It's still hard no, people don't like change. Nobody likes change. It's hard because it's been done a certain way for so many years. We're just trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing, make it easier for individuals.
Well, Mike, and I say this in all sincerity, you stepped into a difficult situation, a mid-year change, and you've done a great job, and had great success with men's basketball. Looking forward to continued success with softball and baseball. So keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. One of the sad features of Sportslook over the past year and a half is I've talked about the passing of a number of individuals who were hugely important for Greyhound athletics. One of those individuals passed away during the break between the fall semester and the spring semester, Dr. Thurman Elder, who was the dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences back when I got here. He was also, for many years, the athletic representative, the bridge between the faculty and the athletic department, a huge supporter of Eastern athletics. And the name may be the same. He was not my dad, but outside of the guy who was my real dad, I would have had the greatest honor to have called Thurman Elder a dad, because he was just that kind of guy. So, Dr. Elder, wherever you are right now, we miss you, and we will try to carry on in your absence. Well, that will finish up in overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Albert Flynn and Mike Molina. Once again, had a great floor crew led by Mr. Nick. So, for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.